Hello everybody, it's Miss Lisa and welcome to another Virtual Kids Day. This is our 5th Virtual Kids Day. We have them once a month, the last Saturday of the month. And this Saturday we're going to be learning about Native American weaving. So we are coming back to the USA. Last month we were sort of in Fiji and Samoa, out in this area here, and in Hawaii, where we learned about kappa cloth, tapa cloth. And today we're going to be talking about weaving. Now, weaving is very important to the Navajo people and also to the basket-making indigenous people in California. And we are going to be looking at the basic technique of weaving, and we are also going to be making something a little bit more complicated. So the basic technique we can see in this paper mat. I will show you how to weave a paper mat, and I will also show you how to do something a little bit more complicated. I have these woven bracelets here, which are nice and soft and beautiful to wear. This month we did something different. We made a kit of Kids Day materials. Let me just put this down on my map so that it's easier to see what we have in our Kids Day kit. So if you picked up the kit, you will find a purple piece of paper that has slits cut into it. You will find red paper strips, and you will find 3 straws and 2 bits of yarn. One of them kind of looks like a 3-legged octopus, and the other one is wound in a sort of a ball. And what we're going to do is use these materials here to make the bracelet, and these materials here to make the paper mats. Other things that you may want to have on hand is a glue stick for the mat project, and perhaps a skewer and scissors and tape for the bracelet project. Now, if you're making your own kit, finding your own materials, you do not need plastic straws. In fact, it's best not to use plastic straws. Best for the environment, right? If you have paper disposable straws, that's absolutely fine. They're usually thinner than these plastic straws. And the reason I'm using the big plastic straws is because we're going to be passing this thick piece of yarn through the straw. If you have a narrower straw, perhaps a disposable paper straw, you might need a skewer like this, and we're going to use the skewer to help push the yarn through if you have a narrow straw. Okay, so let's start with the paper mats. We are going to be making a finished product that looks like this. This is a very, very good beginner's weaving project. What we're going to be doing, it doesn't matter which way up this goes. I'll just set it like this because it kind of helps the paper come up off the surface. When it's in this orientation, you can see that the pieces want to come up because there's a fold in it. And the reason there's a fold in the paper is because I've prepared the paper by cutting slits into it, and you can do that by folding your piece of paper in half and then just cutting into it with scissors. But you don't want to cut all the way through. You want to leave this area here so that all the strips are joined. If you cut all the way through, this whole purple strip will fall off, and if you cut all the way through, this one will fall off. And it's a lot easier to weave if part of the material is fixed in position. So we're fixing these strips here by not cutting all the way through. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use the red strips to weave through the purple. And if you've never woven before, what you want to remember is under, over, under, over, under, over. And you can say that to yourself out loud, or you can say it in your head, but it's very important because that'll give you the pattern, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so if we start out under, you can start out under or over, it doesn't matter. We started out under, so we're going to go over this strip, which we've done just by pulling it through. But if we look at what we've got under, and we've got over this strip, we've got over this one, and we've got over this one, and we've got over this one. So if we push this back, now we can go under. So let's see what we've got. We've got under, over, under this strip. So that means we're going to go over this strip. And now we have to go under this, under. And now what happens? We're going to go over, right? So we're going to go over. And now we have to go under. And now we're going to go over this one and under to finish it off. Okay, so there's the first strip. Now what we're going to do is take another strip and think about it for a minute. It's got to go opposite of what you've just done. So we went under the first bit of paper here. Now we're going to start out over with our second strip. So we're going to go. We go down here and pull it through. You can see we're over the purple and we're under this strip now. And that's great because the strip before we were over the purple strip. Now we're under the purple strip. Okay, now we're over this. We're going to go under this. Let's go under. And we can do that just by sliding our finger through there and gently pulling up. And you don't need to do this fast. You can do it nice and slowly. The first time you weave, you really have to think. Maybe not even just the first time, maybe the first few times. So we've gone under this. We're going over this one. Okay, that's good. We have to go under this one. And we're going to end up over this one. Okay, now if you see what we've done, we've woven two strips and we've done exactly the opposite. We started out under this one, and then we went over, under, over, under, over, under, over. We finished under. This one started out over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and finished out over. So the third strip is going to go back to how we started. We're going to start out under, and we know that because here we started out over. So we're going to start out under, we're going to come up, and this is going to be super easy now because it's going to be just like this one. We can follow the same pattern. You can see it went down here, so that means we have to go down here. It came up here. So this one has to come up here. It went down here, so it goes down. And it came up here, so this has to come up. And then it went down here, so that means we have to go under. And it came up here, so it means we're going to go over. And it went down here, which means it finishes under. And there we go, we have 3 strips. Now the fourth strip is going to be just like the second one. It started out over, so we're going to start out over the purple, and then it went down, so it's going down, and then it went over, over, under, over, under, over, under, and it finishes out over. Now we've got 4 strips. Now let's see what happens if the pattern, if you get a little bit confused and the pattern doesn't quite look right. Let's see what happens. What if we start out over, under, over, under. Now can you see this piece is sliding all over the place because it should be going in, out, in. And because it's not doing that, because it's just like the one we put in before it, it slides all over. So that tells us we have to pull it out and we have to do the opposite of this one. So it starts out over. So this one we know has to start out under. And it comes over and under. Now what happens if we accidentally go over 2 of them and then go down? Okay, do you see this is moving all over the place again? Okay, that tells us that we have to go back here and fix this. And you can tell that we have to fix it because we've got 2 reds showing and we have 2 purples, 2 reds. Okay, so we look for the area where we've got red and purple, purple and red, and we know these are okay. And then when we get to the 2 red places, we've got to stop, pull this out a little bit, and we have to go under because this one's over, so we have to go under, over, under. We're going to go over this one. We're going to go under this one to finish. Okay, now do you see how that strip can't slide? I mean, it can slide up here, but it can't slide down over what we've already woven. This is all in place, and this one can slide up and down, but it doesn't slide down here. It's nicely fixed by the weaving. And we have space for 1 more strip. This one started out under, so this one we know is going to start out over. It's going to go down and up, here, over. It's going to go over this one, and then it's going to go down, under, and it's going to come up, and it's going to go over this one, and it's going to go down here. And we know it goes down because here it comes out and goes over. This one goes under. You're always doing the opposite of what you've just done. Okay, here we were over, so we know this has to go under. And it's going to finish over. So there we have it. We have 6 strips woven into our purple paper mats. And if you want to fix those strips so that they don't fall out, you can take a glue stick or you can take some Elmer's glue and just put a little bit of glue stick here and press down a little bit here and press down. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, it keeps those strips from falling out. And if you want, you can do the same thing here, and you can flip it over and put a little bit here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here, and same on this side. And there you go. Your beautiful paper mat is finished. That is a great project for beginning weaving. Now I've got something that's a little bit more complicated, but it's really fun to do once you get the hang of it. You might need to try this a few times before it makes sense, and you have to work with a little bit of the tension of the yarn because some places you want to pull it tighter and other places not so, And I'll tell you that, excuse me, as we go along with this project. So what you're going to start out with, we've got 2 pieces of yarn. We've got this one that's tied together. It looks like a 3-legged octopus. And we have this one. This is one long piece of yarn that is tied with a little bag tie. Be careful because those edges have a wire in them and they can be sharp. So be careful with those. We're going to take our octopus and we're going to tape it down. So you'll need a bit of Scotch tape. We're going to tape it at one end. Okay, we've taped that end down, and now we're going to take the end and we're going to push it through the straw. This is why we couldn't use the skinny straws. It makes it kind of hard to get the yarn to go through the straw. And for some reason I can't get it to go through now, so I'm going to use the skewer and push it on through. If you have skinny straws, you'll need to do that with the skewer as well. Let me see if I can get the second one. I haven't had any trouble with this yet, and now when I'm doing the video, of course, I can't get it to go through. So let's try the second straw. I'm going to push the yarn right into that straw. You should see it coming out the other end. It's almost there. Okay, there's the yarn. So I'm going to pull it out. And then we've got one more straw and one more piece of yarn that needs to be pushed through. And that one came right through. I'm going to pull those up. Now when you weave, you need to have you have different threads or strings or yarn or whatever that you're weaving. You need to have those held tight so that you can go over, under, right? So these strings that normally would be held on a loom, a weaving loom is the things that will hold those strings tight. And the strings that go up and down, or in this case, they're going to go side to side, the ones that are held tight, this is called the warp. Okay, and to hold this tight, I'm just going to tape it to the very end of the straw, like this. I'm going to pull it a little bit, and I'm going to tape it to the end of the straw. I'm going to pull it and tape it to the end of the straw. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the ends of the yarn and I'm going to tape them loosely here as well, so that I've got my strings through the straws and I've got these kind of loosely secured at the top and the bottom. Now I've got this long piece of yarn and I'm going to want to take it out of the bag tie, and I'm not going to unwrap the whole thing because that might be a little bit hard to control. I'm just going to take the end here and I'm going to tie it to one of these strings. And I'm not going to tie it too tightly. I just want to have that end hanging down. We're going to braid it into the end of the bracelet. And then this is called the weft. The weft goes in, out, in. or you can say up, down, under, over, the whole thing, same thing. But we're going to start out, let's go under first. We're going to go under, and then we're going to go over the red. So that means we have to go under the yellow. And you might have different colors of straws in your kit, but just go under the first one, over the second one, and under the third one. And then when we get to the end, we have to go over now. We have to go over, because we have to go opposite what we just did. We came out under, so we have to go now over the yellow straw and under the red straw, because here we went over the red straw. Now we have to go under the red straw. And we started out under the blue, so now we're going to go over the blue. And then we're going to come under the blue as well. Okay? And now we go over the red, because that row we went under, so we go over. And now we have to go under the yellow. And now we can go over the yellow, go back the other direction and under the red. And at this point, you might just want to tighten it a little bit. You don't want to tighten it too much because these will all fall off the end of the straws. So we want to tighten it a little bit just by working it up towards the end of the straws and tightening it by pulling gently. Okay, now we've got to go over the blue and then turn around by going under the blue. And that means we have to go over the red and under the yellow. And when we get to the end, we're going to go over the yellow, because we just come under it. Now we have to go over the yellow and under the red. You can pull it a little bit tighter and push these up slightly. When we get to this end, we've gone over the blue, so now we have to go under the blue as we turn the corner and go back the other direction. And then we're going to go over the red, and we have to go under the yellow. And then we come to this point, and we're going to go turn the corner, go back this way, so we have to go now over the yellow and under the red. And if you get confused, just look at what you did in the row before. You can see I went under the blue, over the red, and under the yellow. So this row has to be over the yellow, under the red, and over the blue. And then we're going to turn the corner and go the other direction by going under the blue, over the red, and under the yellow. And what you can see, this yarn is called variegated, which means the color changes as you go. So we started out with this sort of burgundy color, and then we went to kind of a rust color, and now we're into peach. But it's all the same piece of yarn. The yarn color just changes as you work through the yarn, which is cool because it gives you a lovely pattern when you finished. You get something that looks like this, and it looks like you've changed different colors of yarn as you were weaving, but really it's just a variegated yarn. Same with knitting. If you use variegated yarn when you're knitting, it will end up looking like you changed colors of yarn as you were working through whatever it was you were knitting. Okay, so we've gone under the blue. Now we're going to go over the red and under the yellow. And now we're going to turn the corner and go over the yellow, under the blue, and under the red, and over the blue. Turn the corner, under the blue, over the red, and under the yellow. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now because you're probably getting tired of me saying under, over, under. But just watch. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm come to the end, so I have to go back the other direction. I'm under, so I have to go over. And just watch what I'm doing and watch the row ahead of where I am. And you'll see that you'll know what to do. And as I'm working, I'm just pulling the yarn up a little bit snugly against the row in front so that it's not gaping holes between the rows. And if you feel like your yarn gets into a big tangle, you can stop and just rewind the yarn. Sometimes it helps to put a little safety pin through the yarn to kind of hold it together while you're working, and then unsafety pin it as you go. Cecilia Moreno, who's our new archery artist, who is going to be teaching this class, she will be with us instead for the fall sessions of kids' art classes, and she's going to be teaching us some really cool stuff. And one of the things she's going to teach us is how to make a little miniature boat, I believe, out of tule reeds or something similar. So we will wait and be very excited about that. The other thing she's going to do is show us some of her beautiful Native American woven baskets and cradle boards and different things that you can weave out of different natural materials. And so we're excited to bring that to you as well. That will be in the fall sometime, maybe about October. And we will be sharing a schedule with you for fall art classes, which will also be virtual. So just look out for those. I'll post them on Instagram and they'll show up on Facebook as well. So you can see what sort of wonderful art classes for kids we're going to be offering in the fall. Someday we also hope to be able to offer a weaving class for adults taught by Cecilia, and this will be like a 3-hour workshop where she's going to show us how to weave a medallion out of natural plant materials, which is super cool. Now, as you can see, I've been working down the straws, and it's starting to look very much like the finished product. And probably the finishing of it might surprise you a little bit because there's no straws in here. You can see it's very floppy, so it can tie around your wrist. So we'll see what happens at the end. So we've gone under red, so we're going to go over blue and then under blue, and over red, and under yellow. Turn the corner and go over yellow and under red, over blue, under blue. If you try this a couple times and it's just not working for you, don't worry. Just take it apart and try again later. Weaving is not the easiest thing to do because you have to remember where you are and if you're going under or over, and sometimes the yarn gets tangled and sometimes you lose track of where you are. Always remember you can look at the row that you just made previously to help you decide what to do next. If you've gone under, like here I've gone over, so I know I have to go under this one because I've just gone over, so I have to go under this one. And then when I turn the corner, I know I have to go over yellow because I just went under. And I'm going back the other direction. Also, you don't need to finish the whole piece of yarn if you want to stop here. That is fine. I will continue with the whole piece of yarn because I want to show you the completed length of the bracelet. So I'm just going to push these up a little bit to tighten it along the straws. And do you see if I go over here? Now I've gone over these two straws, and I can tell just by looking at it that I need to go back and fix this because there's a long piece of yarn here where every other place has a short piece showing. That's because I have to go under yellow. And there's the short piece showing now, and then I go around yellow and under red. Now if I go like this, I'll know again I have to go back and fix this because I've gone under two straws. I can only go under one, and then I have to come up and around. Okay, I don't want to weave this completely into the straws because I want to have a little bit of yarn left over that I'm going to use to braid into the piece at the end. So if I braid this tail into the end of the bracelet, then it won't come undone. So I've got the tail of the weaving here. I'm just going to put it in there for a second, and I'm going to take off the tape now. You might need scissors to cut this off carefully, or you can just pull it off. I'm also going to take this off here. So it's attached on one end, and you can see this is the tail from the weaving here. And these three tails are the pieces of yarn that we put through the straws. Now I'm going to very gently, while I'm holding the tail, I'm going to pull the straws. And I can push this up too so that it doesn't all come apart. You can see I can actually hold this with one hand and pull the straws out with the other hand. And what's happening is that yarn that we put through the straws is now in the weaving. And we can push this up gently along those pieces of yarn and tie a knot at the end here. So I've got a knot that's going to include the tail from the long piece that we wove and each of the three pieces that we put through the straws. just going to tie a knot here. And I'm going to very gently pull that knot until it's secure. And now I can pull this. Actually, I'll leave that on for a minute. And what I'm going to do to finish this end is to braid. So as you know, you need 3 strands to do a typical braid. So one of these is going to have 2 strands. I'll braid 2 together and 1 separately. And to braid, if you've never braided before, we'll just put the 2 in the middle to start with. And we'll start with the left side. We're going to go left in between the 2. And then we're going to go right in between the 2. And we're going to go left. Now left is actually two strands, right? But we're going to consider it 1, and we're going to go in between the 2. And the right is going to go in between the 2. And now we're left in between the 2. Right in between, left in between, right in between, left in between, right in between, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm just going to work right down these pieces of yarn. And then I'm going to tie a knot at the end. The other thing you can do if you find it difficult to tie a knot is to take a little rubber band and band the end there. Now I'm going to undo this, turn it around, and put a piece of tape here. And I'm going to do the same thing on this end. I've got 4 strands, so I'm going to consider 2 as 1. So this will be 1, this will be 1, this will be 1. And I'm going to go left in between 2, and then right in between the 2, and then left in between, and then the right string in between, and then the left string in between, and then the right in between, and the left in between, and the right, the left, the right, left, right, left, right. And work down the pieces of yarn. And when I get to the end, I'm going to tie a knot in this end too, and pull that tight. And now if you like, you can take your scissors and just trim off the little extra bits there and the little extra bits here. And there you have it, a woven bracelet, which is pretty cool. It's also very comfortable to wear because this blanket yarn is really soft. So I hope you enjoyed that. I also wanted to show you what else you can do. Don't throw away those straws, because here's an example of a finer weave. This was done with yarn that's only this thick. So you could put these through the paper disposable straws. This yarn will go through paper disposable straws. The only thing is you'll need to have more yarn to do the back and forth part. You need to have more weft. And so this was about 6 yards of purple yarn, whereas these have 4 yards of the thick blanket yarn. So there's another thing you can do. You can make different widths. This is a very fine yarn. And the other thing you can do is make mats with different colored combinations. Here's a mat where I wove white strips through instead. And you can even do a pattern of colors. What if we had, for example, the white strips here, and we use the red strips to go in the opposite direction, go opposite the white. So the whites went down, up, down. And we're going to go this way. There's no white strips in your kit, but if you have paper at home, you can make your own. And you can see it's going to have a different look when it's finished. We're going to start up because the white started down, so this one's going to be over the purple and under the purple and over the purple and under the purple and over this purple and under this purple and over this purple and under this purple. We're going to finish up over. And then we can push the white strip down there and put in one more red strip. So your kit contains enough materials to do one mat and one bracelet. If you want to do other weavings, I've got instructions for how to create your own materials on our Instagram account. So take a look at that. And I hope you enjoyed this Kids Day project. Super fun weaving. I hope you enjoyed your paper mats and your woven bracelet. With that, I will finish this class, and I hope to see you again next month, where we are going to take yet another trip to somewhere else in the world and see what kind of arts we can do there. Thank you very much. Goodbye.